The following program on PBS 39 is made possible in part by
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, two great names.
This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is presented by the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design. IPFW, the energy of the arts.
Welcome to Arts Weekly. Today's show features the accomplishments and the future of two long-standing Fort Wayne arts organizations. I'm Melinda Haines with the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. In the second half of the show, we'll be joined by Jonathan Bissaro of the Fort Wayne Children's Choir. But first, we'll visit with Kelly Updike, the Executive Director of the Embassy Theater. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Melinda.
Oh, well, it's great to have you here. I think so many people drive by the Embassy Theater and they see that iconic sign and they say, wow, that Embassy Theater, you know, if they haven't been in, which I can't believe people haven't been in there, they need to go. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the Embassy and how it got started, or
Sure.
come back to life, I guess?
Thank you. It was built in 1928. It was called the Emboyd Theater. Clyde Quimby, it's a pretty famous name here in the area, was the first operator, and his mother's name was Emily Boyd. So they called her Em, he called it the Emboyd, and when he sold the operations in 1952, he wanted to keep that and take it back personally. So they called it the Embassy after that and had another grand opening. And then in the late 70s, and the early 70s, actually late 60s, when downtowns were struggling, the building was dim, it wasn't completely dark. People were coming in to play the grand page organ and take care of it and have travel logs, which is I don't know if anybody knows what those are anymore.
I remember those,
oh,
yes.
Oh, I do too. And they realized that the building was going to be torn down. They were going to tear down the theater and make it a parking lot and build up the theater, the hotel side, into like what we would call assisted living today. And they wanted to save the organ, so they rallied the community actually, and people like you and I brought in their dollars, their babysitting money, and their quarters, and they raised $250,000 and they bought the building, made it the nonprofit that it is today. And so since 1974, we've been operating as a self-sustaining nonprofit.
There's just such a fascinating history to that building. It's hard to believe that they would tear the building down to save the organ, which the organ is a wonderful thing to have in there as well. Tell us a little bit about the grand page organ.
It's one of 3 or 4 grand pages ever made. It's its formal name with an E at the end of grand. The Page Organ Company in Lima, Ohio actually crafted them. And they didn't make a lot of pages at all. There's a smaller page at the Anderson Paramount Theater that also has the same designer as the Embassy actually. So it's huge. It's got more than 1,200 pipes. The faux balconies that are in the theater, those are actually the organ chambers on either side of the stage. And it's a grand instrument. It has more than 300 stops and tabs, and it's just so nice to hear it being played. We play it all the time to honor our mission, but also because we're the only ones that got one of those. So we like
well, and you got the building around it too.
That's
so I mean,
exactly
that's just so wonderful to have that. Now, the Embassy, you said, is still run as a nonprofit. How big is your organization, and how do you operate with staff and volunteers?
We have a 21-member board. They're volunteers. We have 13 regular staff people, and we'll go up to about 22 when we add in our part-time folks who help us work events. And we have 300 volunteers. And yeah, it's a lot. It will take 50 ushers to staff a stage event, and then we layer on that a few paid staff. So they're very important to us, and they actually are the people, you know, we're volunteers who save the building, and then they would come in once they saved the building and they took care of it. They would paint it and scrape the gum off the seats, and they changed it from a coal boiler system to, you know, the system it is now. They did all those things out of their own free time, and and they bring their families in, and that, I think that culture continues today. We actually are doing well enough that we have staff who do a lot of those things, so they don't have to shovel coal. We don't do that anymore, but they do staff the shows and help us do lots of things that make the building strong and secure.
Well, and they always make you feel welcome when you're at a show too. It's just nice to have all those ushers to guide you along the way and to show you your seat and all of that. They're just a neat part of the whole.
Thank you
embassy.
for that. It is a long-standing tradition, and they go through lots of training. One, they have to be able to stand for long periods of time, but they're there to keep you safe and as well as the building safe. So they go through alcohol awareness management training. They have to practice fire drills. It's a little bit more than just being able to help out at a show.
Are you adding new ushers and volunteers all the time? I would imagine some of them have been there for quite some time though.
We offer different trainings throughout the year, and we honor years of service. And we have people who have been doing this for 20, 25 years.
That's exciting, right there from the beginning of saving everything. And so some of those performances that we get to see on the stage, the Broadway touring performances, I think those are some of the most exciting to be in this beautiful building and these professional theater troupes that come through. Tell me about what's on for this season.
Sure. Next Tuesday is actually the start of the Broadway season for this year. It's Fiddler on the Roof. It's a very traditional, wonderful classic, and it's been around a while. So people should come and enjoy the songs that they've heard for a long time. Tradition, that's one of my favorite ones. I've seen my kids perform this in school plays. It'll be really neat to see the Broadway version and see
because it's different than the movie. I think everybody has seen both, but it's different on the stage, and to see the costumes and
other shows, other songs that are different from what is put in a movie, and definitely it will be a little bit different, but I think a lot of the same songs.
And then the next show after that, you've got a Cirque Dreams Holidaze.
Yes, that will be a lot of holiday-styled acrobatics. It's in early December, I think it's the 5th, and it's the second show in the Broadway series, and I hear there will be flying reindeer and dancing penguins and all kinds of things coming to life in a very acrobatic way. It should be a very good show.
And when is that show?
December 5th.
December 5th. Okay, so that's coming up to kind of start the holiday season. Now, you also have a silent film series, which I think is fascinating because that fits right in with the embassy itself. So just tell me about the series and what's going on with that.
It's new for us to do a silent film series this year, and so we're very excited about it. We've been doing a silent film at Fright Night, and so it's a scary film and with organ accompaniment, and we really wanted to play on our heritage and our mission. The organ was what saved the building in the early 70s. So, and we're the only ones that can do something like that. Right. So we're bringing in Clark Wilson, who's internationally known as an organ accompanist, and we'll be doing, I think it starts in February, so February, March, and April, there'll be 3 silent films shown. And the first one is The General, which is a famous Buster Keaton silent film. And we're really excited because there'll be Q&A session afterwards. IPFW, Stephen Carr will be participating in that, along with University of St. Francis Professor Jane Martin. And so we're hoping to collaborate and do some different things, encourage people, if you've never seen a silent film, you really need to go and see those experiences. There's no CG going on. Nothing's computer generated. The stunts that they do, they actually had to do them
themselves.
In The General, I'm not giving it away. It's a famous scene. A train goes off a cliff. It actually went off the cliff. So it's really cool to see how they made them, and they were well done, and they did it without speaking a word. So
and so that organ accompaniment, is that improvisational? Is there a score to that?
There usually is a score. It might not have been the score that they played originally. There are some shows that have those, but some of them write their own, or there is one that they'll get that goes traditionally with that, and it does make the movie come to life. And at the embassy with the grand page and all those pipes, there are also all the things that make the sound. So we have bird calls and phone buzzers and all those different noises that you need to hear to see a movie.
And you can almost feel those as well as hear them in there. That's very special acoustics.
It is.
Now, you have a series called Down the Line. Can you tell me a little bit about what is that series?
That's an embassy originated programming, and it'll be 7 years old this year. We do them in February. It's local bands. We hire local bands to come in and do covers of famous groups. We've expanded on it and made it a series. We've added a country down the line, and that happens in June. And at the end of December, we'll actually be doing hard rock. I'm supposed to do this. So there'll be local bands covering hard rock, like Kiss and Black Sabbath and Alice in Chains, and there are a couple others. And we're really excited about that. We've not done that particular genre as part of Down the Line before. So
do local bands audition to be a part of this?
They don't really do that. We talk to them. My joke is I have to like them, which it's a joke. It's not really true. But our technical director, Joel Harmeyer, he actually is really good at picking the bands, and we go out and we actually try to be involved in the band scene. We get referrals from other folks. Often bands will Facebook us and say pick us. We may ask people what they'd like to hear. So we really try to get some community support and have people come to see the bands, local bands that they want to see, definitely not in a bar environment. It's an all ages kind of scene, and they get to hear famous covers. So it works out pretty well.
That's a fun way to hear that music.
Yes.
Now, you have a big event coming up, Festival of Trees. I think
yes.
so many people have experienced this. Tell me about what's different this year.
Oh, Festival of Trees, this is the 28th year to do it. And it starts the day before Thanksgiving, the night before, with the Night of Lights. And one of the brand new things that we'll be doing is that there'll be a little carnival on the stage for kids to do. So we'll have a bouncy thing, the moonwalk, and other different rides that they can do on the stage to have a carnival atmosphere. A Party Apart is actually helping set up some things to do that. There'll be 55 trees. That's
55.
More than we've had in a while. So we'll be just crammed with all these beautiful
Is there
decorated
a different? What
trees.
is the theme this year?
The theme is Imagine.
Imagine.
So it will just be fabulous. We're starting to put garland up. The decorators will come in and start decorating trees this weekend, and we'll continue all the way through until we open up on Wednesday night. So it is a fabulous thing. It's the signature fundraiser for the embassy. It was started by our volunteers 28 years ago.
I remember.
We've kept it going ever since.
Well, it's like the Holidaze start that day with the
you're
Festival
very
of
kind.
Trees, and it's like, wow, it's here. So you have a collaboration that's going to go on here with at PBS too, with the Rat Pack.
Yes, that's one of the Broadway shows, and I believe they'll be having tickets made available. Jam Theatricals is the promoter for the Broadway series, and they've made tickets available, and we really hope that people will call in and raise money for PBS, and then be able to take those tickets and watch the Rat Pack is back at the embassy.
Well, we love those collaborations. So how can viewers get more information about any of your events?
We have a website, fwembassytheater.org. Our box office number is 424-5665. We're on Facebook. We tweet. Well, I don't personally tweet. Not there yet. But we have staff who tweet, and we try to be available to answer any question.
Well, wonderful. So everybody can get that information. Kelly, thank you so much for being here today. The Embassy Theater is a Fort Wayne treasure, and I hope everyone gets a chance to visit this beautiful and functional legendary facility. As we get ready to meet our next guest, please take a minute to view our performance calendar of what is coming up in our area, and keep in mind that you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll be right back with Jonathan Bissaro of the Fort Wayne Children's Choir. Joining me is Jonathan Bissaro, the Artistic Director of the Fort Wayne Children's Choir. Jonathan, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Melinda.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about Fort Wayne Children's Choir. And one of the things that I think people will never realize is that it is 40 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me about the history of Fort Wayne Children's Choir.
Sure. Well, the Children's Choir was founded in 1972 by a woman I think was a visionary, Jocelyn Bassey, and it was formed as an after-school program. They're called the Choristers of Peace. And today, we've incorporated and become the Fort Wayne Children's Choir, and we serve a role that is more important today than ever, with arts programs being attacked and under siege. And so today we are filling a great need here in the community.
Yeah, I know there's kids who want to take choir in school, but sometimes they can't, either because it's not being offered anymore or because this doesn't fit in that block schedule or something like that. So, and you're serving children of all ages.
Right,
Well.
yeah, we start with kids in about 3rd grade and we go all the way through high school. And even if there are kids that are younger than 3rd grade, we have a preparatory program that they can start to get some of the skills of learning how to read music and learning the process of, you know, sitting still and learning the basic steps of how we sing and form a choir.
And most important, watch the director.
That's right. Well, that's very important.
It is. Tell my own children that. Always watch the director. Now, you have a concert coming up this weekend,
We do.
Harvest Concert.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
The Harvest Concert is this Friday and Saturday, so starting tomorrow, and it's at First Presbyterian Church downtown Fort Wayne, and it's at 7:30.
Each night.
Each night is at 7:30. It's the same concert both nights.
Okay.
So just find the night that works best for you.
And how many children are taking part in these concerts? Is it every child who's in Fort Wayne Children's Choir?
Well, the program is quite large, actually. We've got over 250 kids in the entire program. And so because of that, we can't have all the kids in every concert. So there will be a few choirs at this concert. So there will be about 120 kids in this concert. And in our next concert in December, the rest of the choirs will appear.
Well, you were explaining to me a little bit about how the children are split according, and you know, maybe you can explain to me how those divisions occur with all of those children.
Sure. Well, in our program, we're a music literacy focused program. We teach kids how to read music, and it gives them a lifelong skill so they'll be able to sing for the rest of their lives. And part of that is teaching them exactly how to take a piece of music, pick it up, and read it. And so we have a curriculum that's in place, and there are 7 different levels. And we put kids, based on their ability, into those different levels.
So just because you're 8 years old doesn't mean that you're in one particular choir or another?
No, it's focused on ability. And, you know, that's one of the difficult things, is that sometimes you can have a little range of ability, but it's also one of the great things, too, that kids from all different backgrounds, all different ages, coming together to sing together.
Well, and speaking of singing, we have a clip of your lyric choir.
Yeah,
correct?
This is the lyric choir,
yeah.
and they're doing a medley, a gospel medley, and this was taken, I think, a year or 2 ago, but it's a great representation of the kids in our program and the things that we do.
Okay, if we can watch that.
This train is not for glory, this train. This train is not for glory, this train. This train is not for glory, only room for righteous and holy. This train will carry me home. When that train is not for glory, this train. When that train is not for glory, this train. Oh Lord, this train is not for glory, only room for righteous and holy. That train comes to carry me home.
There is just nothing more fun than singing a children's choir like that.
Yeah.
They're terrific. They're singing in all those different parts. They're just professional. I mean, really, the quality is excellent.
Right, and that's just one opportunity that our kids have. That's one of our normal concerts that you got to see a snippet of. But we're not focused on the concert all the time. There's a process, that education that happens along the way. We have fabulous educators that are helping our kids, and they give them opportunities to sing in great locations. Other than just the concerts, we try and find all sorts of collaborations.
Well, now the kids who are singing there, how often do they rehearse? Are these weekly rehearsals? I mean, it's got to be pretty regular.
Right. We try and give our kids a fairly regular routine. All of our choirs rehearse at least once a week, and then the top treble choir, the concert choir, rehearses twice a week.
Okay, so they're
And those
a little more
rehearsals,
rigorous.
Yeah, those rehearsals happen primarily at IPFW. We have the privilege of being an artist in residence at IPFW, so we get to have our rehearsals there, and some of our concerts in the season are there as well.
Well, that's just one of the collaborations that you were talking about. You collaborated with lots of arts organizations in Fort Wayne.
Sure. We started this season off with a collaboration with the Fort Wayne Ballet and the Heartland Chamber Chorale in a performance of Carmina Burana.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, and there are many more things that we're looking forward to in the future, working with FAME, the Fort Wayne Philharmonic, and the list goes on and on.
And I think you're even singing at the Festival of Trees.
Yeah, we're singing at the Festival of Trees. The lyric choir, which you saw on the screen, they're going to be performing at Festival of Trees too.
And there's an event coming up with IPFW, the Three Rivers Choral Festival. That's coming up pretty soon too.
Right, the Three Rivers Choral Festival is an event that we're hosting at IPFW, so the Department of Music and the Children's Choir are working together. And we're putting on a festival where we're inviting area high school choirs. So there's a high school from Ohio that's coming, and some from the Fort Wayne area. And we're going to bring in a clinician, Dr. Robert Ward from Ohio State University, and he's going to work with all the different choirs. They'll sing some pieces on their own, we'll sing a piece together, and it's just a great celebration of choral music happening here in the community.
Is it an all-day workshop, then with a performance at the end?
Yeah, it's on Saturday the 17th, and we start at 9 a.m. and we'll have a concert at 4.
That's a long day.
Yeah.
Wow, but the end result is going to be wonderful. Now, the concert that you're going to be doing, this Harvest concert that's coming up, can you tell me a little bit more detail about that? That is one of the things that you're doing to celebrate the 40 years. So how is the program structured for
Sure.
that?
Well, the Harvest concert coming up at First Presbyterian this weekend, it gives several of our choirs an opportunity to perform. And one of the things is that they have an opportunity to perform all sorts of different music, and hopefully our audience will get to witness that and experience that. They'll sing music that's very old and music that's very new by composers that are still living today. And we try and give our students a breadth of music that's very diverse, so that we're also reaching students that are very diverse at the same time.
How long is the program? How many pieces are performed?
I think that there are about 11 pieces on the program, and with a little intermission in the middle, it'll be just over an hour.
That's going to be a great concert. The other things that you do besides the collaboration, you really have a mission at Fort Wayne Children's Choir. Tell me, more in depth about this.
Well, I've hit on some of these things, but our mission is to provide a choral program of artistic excellence to children from diverse backgrounds. All children are welcome in the Fort Wayne Children's Choir. And part of that music education is teaching them that literacy that I was talking about earlier. It's such a valuable skill that our students take with them and they use for the rest of their lives.
Now, how big is the staff at Fort Wayne Children's Choir? You've got a lot of kids who are involved, but I bet you don't have a huge staff.
Well, as one of the challenges that many nonprofits face, we always wish that we had more staff, but with the staff that we have, they're really fantastic. I'm brand new to the organization, and so I got to experience walking in and having things with a community that's there to support me. So we have Denise Bates as our executive director, who is fabulous at her job, getting out into the community and spreading the word about the Children's Choir. We have staff like our Director of Operations, Janet Treadway, and she's been there for now over 16 years.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have new additions to our staff. Susie Pierce is a new addition to our staff, and she's our Director of Outreach. As we're looking to grow the organization, she's helping us locate places and children and families that we can reach and help serve that diverse body. Now, that's just our administrative wing. There's also an artistic wing too.
Right.
And so in addition to myself, there are 5 other directors of choirs that work with all of our kids.
And plus accompanists.
And accompanists, right, of course.
And I'll bet a lot of parents who help out.
Right, and you know, volunteers really help make the organization go. It's a wonderful thing to have such a supportive family with the Fort Wayne Children's Choir.
So how can students get involved with Fort Wayne Children's Choir?
Well, the first thing that you can do is come to our concert this weekend and then see what we're all about. And then you could call our office at 481-0481 and set up an audition time. We're always accepting new students.
All the time, or are there kind of like a few times through the year that are...
Well, there's a big push for recruitment in the spring as we wrap up our last year and we look to start our next season. But we're always taking students. Now, if a student came today, they wouldn't be able to sing in the concert this weekend.
Right.
But we will try and get them involved as soon as possible so that they can start building friendships and start learning everything that all the rest of the kids are learning.
And no experience necessary. They don't
Nope.
have to know anything. They can
No,
just
we'll
have
take them from the beginning.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today,
it's my
Jonathan.
pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Melinda Haines with the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. On the next Arts Weekly, we'll take a look at 2 of the many holiday shows around town. We'll chat with Joel Frumkin and Rich Najik from the new Huntington Theater and Supper Club, and with Brian Wagner of the Fort Wayne Arena Dinner Theater to find out what they're cooking up for Christmas. Drop by Thursday evening at 7:30 to meet our guests on PBS 39.
The preceding program on PBS 39 was made possible in part by
Excellence lives here in northeastern Indiana. It's reflected in more than 200 nationally recognized degrees. It drives our Division I sports. It's alive in our campus life. Excellence has a name, IPFW. Around our campus, around the country, around the world. Excellence lives here. Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. One university, 2 great names.